Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bilingual channel where we talk about fascinating topics in both English and your preferred language. I'm David.
And I'm Emily. We're so glad you're here. Today's topic is law, a field that touches all of our lives, whether we realize it or not. We'll make things simple by defining some important legal terms as we go along.
That's right, law might sound intimidating, but understanding some basic concepts can make a big difference. Let's jump right in with our first term, justice.
Good one, David. Justice is a principle that promotes fairness and equality in society. It means giving everyone their due and treating people with respect and fairness. It's basically the goal that law aims to achieve.
Right, so when you hear the word justice, think about fairness and doing what's right. But achieving justice isn't always easy, which is why legal systems exist to help guide society.
Exactly. Let's talk about a term that goes hand in hand with justice, rule of law. The rule of law means that everyone is subject to the law, no matter who they are. It's a principle that prevents people from acting above the law.
Yes, it's one of the most important concepts in any legal system. Without the rule of law, society could become chaotic because some people might use power to get around laws.
That's true. Rule of law keeps everyone accountable and protects individuals from injustice. It's a foundational principle in democratic societies.
Speaking of which, let's introduce another term, due process. Due process refers to the legal requirement that the government must respect all legal rights owed to a person. In other words, you can't be punished without fair treatment in the legal system.
Due process is vital because it ensures that people are treated fairly in legal proceedings, like trials. If someone is accused of a crime, due process guarantees they get a fair hearing.
Right. It's about protecting individuals from arbitrary or unfair treatment by the state. Due process is an important part of civil rights, which are protections for individuals from government abuse.
Let's dive into civil rights a bit more. Civil rights include freedoms like the right to a fair trial, freedom of speech, and the right to privacy. These rights are often protected by constitutions or bills of rights.
Yes, civil rights protect individuals from discrimination or unfair treatment based on things like race, religion, or gender. They're an essential part of any fair and just society.
Exactly. And speaking of fair treatment, let's discuss precedent. In many legal systems, precedent refers to using past court decisions to guide future cases. Judges often rely on precedents to make decisions that are consistent with previous rulings.
Right, Emily. Precedent is like a guidebook for judges. If a similar case was decided a certain way in the past, it can influence how new cases are judged, making the legal system more predictable.
Yes, precedent helps create stability in the legal system by ensuring that similar cases are treated the same way over time. That's really important for fairness.
Absolutely. And viewers, if you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe to the Bilingual channel. We cover topics like these regularly, and you'll find the definitions for the words we're discussing today in the video description.
Thanks for that, David. Now, another term I think we should explain is litigation. Litigation is the process of taking legal action or going to court to resolve disputes.
Good one, Emily. Litigation is usually a last resort when people can't resolve a conflict on their own. For example, if two people disagree over a contract, they might go to court to resolve it through litigation.
Yes, and litigation can be complex and costly. That's why some people prefer mediation or arbitration, two other terms to know. Mediation and arbitration are ways to settle disputes outside of court.
Right, mediation is when a neutral third party helps both sides reach an agreement, while arbitration involves a neutral party making a binding decision on the dispute.
Exactly. These alternative methods can save time and money compared to litigation. But sometimes, only a court case can resolve certain legal issues, like criminal cases.
Speaking of criminal cases, let's explain criminal law. Criminal law deals with actions considered harmful to society, like theft or assault. If someone breaks a criminal law, they may face penalties like fines or prison time.
That's right, David. And on the other hand, we have civil law, which deals with disputes between individuals or organizations. Civil law cases usually involve personal or property issues rather than criminal acts.
Great point. So, criminal law is about punishing offenses against society, while civil law focuses on resolving personal disputes, often through compensation.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key term, burden of proof. In criminal law, the burden of proof is the level of evidence needed to prove someone's guilt.
Yes, in criminal cases, the burden of proof is usually very high. The prosecution must prove the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a very high standard.
In civil cases, the burden of proof is lower. Instead of beyond a reasonable doubt, the standard is usually preponderance of the evidence. This means it just has to be more likely than not that the claim is true.
Good clarification, Emily. Another important concept is contract law. Contract law governs agreements between people or businesses. Contracts are legally binding promises, and if they're broken, legal action can follow.
Exactly. Contracts are everywhere, from buying a phone to signing a lease. They're crucial for building trust and making sure both sides fulfill their promises.
And when one side doesn't fulfill a contract, it's called a breach of contract. In these cases, the injured party can sue for damages or compensation.
Yes. And damages, by the way, refer to money paid to compensate someone for a loss or injury. They're often awarded in civil cases where one party has suffered due to another's actions.
Let's discuss tort law. A tort is a civil wrong, like negligence or defamation, that causes harm to someone. Tort law allows people to sue for damages if they're injured by someone else's actions.
Good point, David. Tort law covers things like car accidents, medical malpractice, and even things like emotional distress. It helps people get compensation when someone else's carelessness or intentional actions cause harm.
Speaking of harm, let's explain negligence. Negligence means failing to act with reasonable care, resulting in harm to someone else.
Yes, negligence is a key concept in tort law. For example, if a doctor doesn't follow proper procedures, and a patient is harmed as a result, the patient might sue for negligence.
Another important area is intellectual property law. This area of law protects creations of the mind, like inventions, artworks, and brand names.
Intellectual property rights give creators the ability to control and profit from their work. This includes copyrights for creative works, patents for inventions, and trademarks for brands.
And speaking of control, let's talk about jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the authority of a court or legal body to hear a case and make decisions.
Good one, David. Jurisdiction depends on factors like location and the type of case. For example, a federal court in the U.S. can hear cases involving federal law, while state courts handle state law cases.
And sometimes, multiple courts can have jurisdiction, which can lead to complex legal battles over where a case should be heard.
Exactly. And finally, let's talk about statutes and case law. Statutes are written laws passed by a legislative body, while case law is based on previous judicial decisions or precedents.
Together, statutes and case law make up a lot of the legal framework that courts use to make decisions.
Yes, it's interesting how the law combines both written rules and interpretations from past cases to create a structured system.
Absolutely, Emily, and to all our viewers, remember to check the description below for the definitions of the terms we've discussed today. Don't forget to subscribe so you can learn more in our future episodes.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. We hope you found this discussion on legal terms helpful and informative. Keep exploring and asking questions about the world of law.
Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
Bye, everyone.